Hi, I'm Kylan Savage. I'm doing Classical Civilisations A-Level, and in this video we're going to be looking at the love that was held between Aeneas and Dido, and can it be justified that Aeneas left her? If so, why? If not, why? Basically, Aeneas did love Dido. We have this in Virgil after each of her first two appeals to him, but when Jupiter sends the message, Aeneas instantly decides to leave her. We have heard the voice of Jupiter in all his majesty and seen the brilliant flight of Mercury. And at another level, we can see this as a dramatisation of a sudden victory over duty, over desire in Aeneas' heart. Was it actually the god coming to visit him when he was asleep, or was it just his imagination being pretty imaginative? It's an observation as it can be quoted by the translator, I think it's David West, saying, "There's a shrewd observation by Virgil for the sort of things men do," sorry guys, and may well increase our sympathy for Dido, as he doesn't tell Dido he's going to go. Aeneas is condemned also for the cold formalities response to Dido's appeal. On this account, however, it's difficult to fault him. His speeches are very passionate, and her speeches are passionate yet full of tight logic. Like after their first meeting, Dido divines that he's going to leave her, and she hurls argument over argument at him. Given that he's taken an irreversible decision to leave her, he answers the points to which answer in the best possible way, if you can think of it as that. It all comes down to a statement that it is not by his will that he goes to Italy. So, if we're looking at the different reasons for him going and not going, and saying is this fair or not, we can start off with the way that, and looking at saying whether he did end it well. And his good points are that he did love her. He did care for her, this is proven. And in that way we could say maybe it was kind of him to end it quickly rather than dragging it out, and then still him knowing that he still has to leave. He is forced to give her up. This isn't something that he particularly wants to do, but as we know, he does have to leave, because that is his duty, that is his destiny to leave. So we can't really say that it's completely his own decision to go when the gods tell him that's what he has to do. The gods also do make him feel guilty about Aeneas, which shows that he's not all bad, and he's really lost his father and wife. And just think how bad it is now. He has to give up the last scrap of happiness in his life. He lost his wife, which, to be fair, not that nice to him. He made her walk behind them when they were leaving the city, but that is that was fine. That was what men did back then. And he's just lost his father, so he's alone and depressed. He's having a really rubbish time. Poor Aeneas. So that is another point, I guess, showing that he's not that bad. He gives her up, but he doesn't want to give her up because he's having such a bad time. She is the last shred of happiness. So it's just show that it's not particularly his fault. He has to build Carthage, so that shows he's not a slave to lust. He's not a particularly bad person, because he's not just being with Dido just because he thinks she's pretty fit. He has to go. He has to do Carthage. And also he is being a stoic hero, showing a lack of emotion, which was coveted in those times. But when we look at the bad side of it, he was cowardly with the breakup. Some people could view it as that. There was a defining lack of emotion, and it also says that he doesn't actually look at her, even once when he was talking. When she was talking, they were both talking, which was a little bit mean. It says, I'm trying to find the quote, but yeah, he just literally doesn't even look at her, which could just be, the quote is, "He did not sigh when he saw me weep. He did not even turn to look at me. Was he overcome and brought to tears? Had he had any pity for the woman who loves him?" Maybe it would have been nice if he did look at her. But if you're looking at it from the point that it is very hard for him, maybe not looking at her was helpful because it would have made him more upset. something is pretty cowardly, and we can't really give him a good side to it, is he did leave in the middle of the night without telling her. He planned pretty secretly, and not very well, because it's her city. She is going to hear that all these people are leaving in the middle of the night, which I don't think was very clever. So no points for you there, Aeneas. That was very cowardly. He also, he doesn't go to her. He doesn't go to her and be like, oh, I'm sorry now, we've had a lovely time, but can't actually stay anymore. A quote from here to about the sup is, but the queen, who can deceive a lover, knew in advance what scheme was afoot. Authorial, sorry, I can't say that word, authorial voice, who can deceive a lover, is more of a judgmental sense, so it sort of makes the audience realise that, yeah, that wasn't very nice of you. Trojans, another thing is saying that Trojans are fitting out their fleet and preparing to sail away. This leads her to be driven to distraction and burning with passion. She raged and raved around the whole city, like a bacchant stirred by the shaking of the sacred emblems, and roused to frenzy when she heard the name of Bacchus. So basically, she got very angry, started shouting at Aeneas, "You traitor, did you imagine you could do this and keep it secret? Do you think you could slip away from this land of mine and say nothing? Does our love have no claim on you, or the pledge of your right hand once gave me?" This relates to the fact that they may have been technically married. We're not entirely sure, because they went into a cave with the goddess of marriage and came out. So whether they married or not is up to you, but she obviously thinks they were. She says, "I beg you by our union, by the marriage we have begun, if I have deserved any kindness from you, if you have ever loved anything about me, pity my house that is falling around me. I implore you, if it is not too late for prayers, give up this plan of yours." So that is quite sad, but he does say, and it does say that Aeneas struggled to fight down the anguish in his heart. He does say, "It was never my intention to be deceitful or run away without your knowing, and do not pretend it was." Okay, that was a bit stupid, Aeneas, because you are planning to leave in the middle of the night. You didn't go and tell her. I don't agree with him there. But then he says, "Nor have I ever offered you marriage or entered into the contract with you," which is a little bit heartless. He's leaving her, and now he's saying, "Yeah, we aren't even ever married, so don't really be that upset." So yeah, Aeneas, a bit mean. But then we come to the point, again, that I said in like the sort of good side of Aeneas, that he says that if the fates will leave me to free my own life and settle all my cares according to my own wishes, my first concern would be to tend to the city of Troy, of those of my dear people who survive. So whilst he isn't being that nice to her, he is still loyal to his people, and he is still holding that in his honour. Yeah. Yeah, he also gives reasons for going by what I said about he was feeling guilty about Ascanius. He says, "I see in my dreams the troll spirit, my father Anchises, coming to me with warnings, and I am afraid. I see my son Ascanius and think of the wrong I am doing him, cheating him of his kingdom in Hesperia and the land of the fates that have decreed from him." Blah, blah, blah. And he says, they brought commands from Jupiter himself. "With my own eyes I have seen the god in the clear light of day coming within the walls of your city. With my own ears I have listened to his voice. Do not go causing distress yourself and to me with these complaints. It is not by my own will that I search for Italy." So he's arguing the fact that it's not by his own will. He has to go there for his son, for his people. He doesn't particularly want to, but that is his destiny. That is his fate. That is something that he has to continue doing. Yeah. However, the Mercury dream, when Mercury comes to visit him in a dream, we're not entirely sure quite how real this is, because yeah, it doesn't really feel that real. Sorry, let me just find the page in the book. Am I actually ever going to find it? This is why I did have stickers noting the pages before. This is also why the stickers fall out just before I need them. Okay, I can't actually find it. But if you go and find the place... Oh, here it is. Sorry, you can just like skip this. If you're watching in the video, I'm going to put a little note at the beginning when I'm starting talking. Just be like, skip this bit. Okay, I can't actually find it. That wasn't actually the right bit. But basically, if you go and read the Mercury bit in the dream, Yeah, it doesn't feel that real. It kind of feels like Aeneas is just asleep, and he wakes up, he's like, oh, I had a dream about Mercury, and he told me we had to go right now. It's not actually any proven points that it is Mercury coming to talk to him. So there's quite a lot of excuses Aeneas is making up for going. Apologies that I can actually find the right quotes from that, but you're clever, you'll be able to find that yourself. Yeah, he also says, to go back to, he's quite cruel in his speech. This relates to the point where there was a lack of emotion when he was talking to her. Yeah, he's not particularly nice. And the fact that now Dido's heart was broken and she found no relief in sleep. He has, in literal facts, completely ruined her. He has completely taken everything away from her. She's not thought of well by her people anymore. She's lost everything, she says. So then, what am I to do? Shall I go back to those who once wooed me and see if they will have me? I would be a laughing stock. Shall I beg a husband from the Numidians, after I so often scorn their offers on marriage? Shall I go then with the Trojan fleet and do what the Trojans ask? I suppose they will be delighted to take me after all the help I have given them. They are sure to remember what I have done and be properly grateful. No, even if I was willing to go with them, they will never allow a woman they have hate to come aboard their proud ships. There is nothing left for you, Dido. Do you not know, have you not noticed the treacheries of the race of Laomedon? But if they did agree to take me, what then? Shall I go into exile with a fleet of jubilant sailors, or shall I go in force with my Tyrian bands crowding at my sides? It was not easy for me to uproot them from their homes in the city of Sidon. How can I make them take to the sea again and order them to hoist sail into the winds? No, you must die. That is what you have deserved. Let the sword be the cure for your suffering. You cannot bear Anna to see your sister weeping. When the madness was taking me, you were the first to lay this load upon my back and put me in the mercy of an enemy. I was not allowed to live my life without marriage, in innocence like a wild creature, and be untouched by anguish such as this. I have not kept faith in the ashes of Psychus. Basically, she's incredibly upset because she has lost all her honour after her husband was killed. She didn't remarry, and that was quite honourable. When her husband died, she swore an oath that she would never again love another man, and she broke it to love Aeneas. Against that recommendation, a substantial defence could be erected. I mean, was it not inhuman to hold a wife to such an oath taken in the moment of bereavement? It would certainly be harsh to commend her to death for breaking it. But would any widow be condemned to marry again? Not in Virgil's Rome, it wouldn't. The case can be supported by the personal and political arguments in favour of marriage, but so persuasively by Dido's own sister. But Dido can't see any of that. And it's not also particularly Dido's own fault, because to protect her own son Aeneas, Venus had already driven Dido into madness. And so to block his destiny to found a city, Juno proposed that Aeneas should settle in Carthage as Dido's husband, whereas Venus, the daughter of Jupiter, had been told by Jupiter himself that all of this is totally contrary to his will. But she disassembles and urges Juno to go and put this proposal to her husband. And the two of these play out their own charade, each pursuing their own ends. So this is basically the two goddesses just having their own little argument. And it's basically all the people that end up very, very hurt. It's sad. It's like a family squabble in Olympus, but the divine machinery allows us to hold in our minds a different view of Dido's motivation. The quarrel between the two goddesses can be seen as a dramatisation of her emotions. An eternal turmoil between her love for Aeneas, she's longing for marriage, and also loyalty to her dead husband and duty to her city, of which she's queen. But yeah, it's still sad. In line 172, he says explicitly that she is guilty. Virgil says that. She called it marriage, using the word to cover her guilt. On the other hand, Juno, showing us consideration at last, cut short Dido's death agony, because her death is undeserved. Yes, it is very sad. And after everything Dido has been through, all the sad things, do we think it's fair that Aeneas can just come in, pick her up, and then drop her off straight away? So this has been quite a confusing video because I've sort of strayed from different points that I've been looking at. But I hope that it's made some sense. I hope you've sort of seen the two sides of Aeneas and why he did leave her and his reasons and whether the reasons were good or bad. And we've also looked a bit at Dido, her guilt about her dead husband and her reasons for killing herself.